Today's December 4th, 2024. Current Bitcoin price is $101,030.
Welcome to the BitBite podcast, your source for news and information about Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space. This podcast is meant for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not financial advice.
Was that a six-figure Bitcoin that we talked about in the price there in the beginning?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And hot off the presses, actually, you were looking at it when it finally crossed.
Yeah.
And then when you gave me a number, it was like 100 and something. And they're like, it's already up to 101 now. So I had to go redo my figures on the theoretical purchases.
We have, I won't say we've blown past 100, but we're solidly in the $100,000 territory.
Yes. And I want to toot my horn for a second. I did mention in the last episode, I'm sorry, it's been a little bit of a break, like a little over a week since we recorded.
Yep.
But the last episode, I said, we're going to go to 100. Or it's going to go towards 100, but I think it's going to get rejected because that's a very, very big psychological barrier. And it hit that, what? Was it Thursday of the week before, like the week before Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it hit something right around 99.8 is the highest that it had gotten.
Yeah. And then it got rejected and it went down a fair bit. Yeah, I mean, I think it kissed, 92,000, somewhere in there?
Yeah, somewhere right in that range. It may have actually gotten, well, I don't know if it ever got back into 89. Let me see. Hold on, I'm pulling it up on the charts. It went down as low as 90,700 is what it looks like.
Okay, so 90,000. So that's a pretty, it probably got wicked right back up after that, though. But we just knew that it was gonna, this is a really big barrier. And I'm just actually kind of pumped that we just got on to record this right as it crossed the six-figure barrier.
Yeah. I don't know what it'll be in the morning. I mean, it's one of those things where if we don't see the massive sell-off, this could climb really quick. So one of the crazy things to think about is that now in order for Bitcoin to 2x, it's got to go to 200,000, right?
Right.
I mean, in Bitcoin to 10x now would be 1 million.
Right.
So, I keep on getting stuck on the fact that it took Bitcoin, roughly 15 years to get to this level.
Yes. Well, yeah.
And now, what's it going to take for Bitcoin? How much longer will it be for Bitcoin to go from 100,000 to 1 million?
Well, just from the fact of where it started off and the fact that it was totally unproven for so many years, it traded at less than $1 for, the early years. And then it got up into the dollars and then hundreds of dollars, thousands, and then it crashed. I mean, it's been a slow build of the network of momentum. It's taken it a long time to get here.
Yeah.
But the next 100,000, it's going to be pretty quick. And I think the next 10xing, I mean, I'd hate to hazard a guess of when it's going to cross 1 million, but it just feels like it's inevitable.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I do think that, I do think we're going to get another bear cycle. I don't think we're done with that yet. I think we have one more full cycle, but I could be completely wrong on that.
That's true. I mean, we don't know.
No.
I mean, the one thing we do know is that it's always had a bear cycle after the halving gets that crazy gold rush, sugar high, and then it crashes.
Yeah.
And then it repeats to all new levels. The cycle repeats, but it just gets bigger.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's one of those things where I may be shell shocked after going through a few cycles where I'm just like, oh, it's going to drop again. It's going to get so low and it's going to get depressing again. Like I probably definitely have some PTSD from being in the crypto market. as long as I've been in it. But
Well, you've taken your lumps, that's for sure.
But it's things like
We
this
all
that yeah, it pays off. Like when you've sat there and you have talked about it. And you know what's crazy is that as time has gone on, aside from doing the podcast, I don't talk about Bitcoin nearly as much to people as I used to.
Right.
You know, and I don't know why that is. Like I feel like I talked about it a lot in the earlier years, just to like random people. I'm not talking about like in podcasts and stuff like that, but to random people. And now I feel like, you know, you're going to get Bitcoin at the price you deserve Bitcoin. I do believe that.
Yeah.
Because you can sit there and tell people till you're blue in the face. And
Hey, but
go ahead.
I was going to say, though, you know, you can't talk somebody into knowing it. I mean, I talked with my father the beginning of last year, right as the ETFs were going online, and they were heading towards 50. It crashed down to 40. And I was like, now's the time to buy. And he's like, eh. And 40 was too much for him.
Yeah.
And we're sitting at 101 right now.
Yeah.
So I understand. I mean, I don't evangelize too much anymore either. And part of it is I don't want too many people knowing that I may or may not have, you know, some hardware wallets that, you know, all that kind of stuff. You know?
May or may not have some Bitcoin on it. Yeah.
May or may not have Bitcoin. I don't know.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like and I think, because even now, like a tenth of a Bitcoin is $10,000. That's not cheap. Like to become a whole coiner is getting harder and harder and harder. We've talked about that a few times on the podcast.
No, you have to be pretty wealthy to get a whole coin nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have just 100 grand sitting around, you're doing a lot better than just your average bear. Yeah. I mean, you're even doing better than the average 1%er probably.
Right.
Either that or you're really tight.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, yeah, incredible day. Part of it looks like it was fueled by Trump's pick for SEC head, Paul Atkins, and you were bringing up some stuff on him, right? Like you were looking at some things there.
Yeah, I just was looking at a brief thing. His name is not familiar to me. So all I can see from an NPR article, it's not usually my favorite source, but they're pretty dry. And they just kind of mention that, you know, he's in charge, or he's the president and CEO of Better Markets. Okay. Or no, that's somebody commenting on him. He works as the CEO of consulting firm Potomac Global Partners, which has clients across the financial and cryptocurrency industries. And he's apparently known as a strong Bitcoin backer. Yeah. And crypto in general.
And that's pretty interesting. And then the other thing that came out across the news was that Vladimir Putin was actually speaking at an economic forum in Moscow. And he said that nobody can prohibit the use of Bitcoin and other virtual currencies. So, I mean, slowly but surely, I know the BRICS nations, I think they're starting to get a lot more involved in this because you can bypass everything with it. You don't have to worry about sanctions or anything like that. You know, and for those of you that haven't been through a bull market before, like this is the exciting times that we all look forward to, the euphoria aspect of it. I think we talked about that on the last episode or the episode before, but like it's going to continue to just be, it's going to be insane, like face melting runs, but you're also going to get those crazy pullbacks too.
Yes.
So just brace yourself for that. It's not uncommon to have a 30% pullback during the bull market.
Yep. And Murphy's Law says as soon as you buy Bitcoin, it's going to do like a 20% pullback on you.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Absolutely.
We've all been there.
Yeah. It's going to be one of those things you're going to feel like an idiot. You're going to be like, oh man, I should have waited, bought later, whatever the case may be. But don't fret over it. Like, just remember, you got to have the long-term perspective on it. I guess if you're one that's just there to trade, you know, so be it. Like, because you don't care what, you know, you're there to make money. You don't care necessarily what the price is, or you're not having that long-term view on it. But if you buy, and especially if you buy like right now at $101,000, if you're buying for the long term, you're going to be fine in about 4 years.
Oh, you're going to be sitting pretty in 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you may have a roller coaster ride over that 4 years, but in 4 years, it's always done better.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's been kind of insane, and I wasn't sure post Thanksgiving because there's been that, and I can only really remember one major post Thanksgiving rally. But like everybody was like, "Oh man, what's going to happen after Thanksgiving?" Honestly, I don't think retail's really back in the game yet.
No. Well, I don't think there's much, but just looking at some of the Twitter stuff and some of the YouTube comments, there's some people who are getting a little bit reckless that don't really know what they're talking about
Yeah.
getting in. So there's a little bit of that, but no, it's coming. That when retail really arrives, that's going to kind of pump it. But then that also scares me because most of the retail shows up at the last second, right before the shoe drops. So
Yeah. Yeah. They're usually like when you start getting advice from your cabbie about, what altcoins or whatever bags he's buying, like that's usually the time to pull some money out if you want to take some profits and just get ready for the next bear market.
Yep.
And actually something we did not cover because we got so excited about pricing. How are our theoretical buys doing?
Oh, they are doing mighty fine, if I do say so. I mean, all-time high. So the first theoretical purchase back in the previous October, so October 2023, I just threw out, hey, if you bought $3,000 of Bitcoin, you'd be sitting pretty in another year or so. And look at this. That $3,000 would have netted you 0.0885 Bitcoin, so 8.85 million Satoshis. And at today's price, that $3,000 is now valued at 8,941. So getting close to tripling your value. The second theoretical purchase at the halving, generally it takes a few months after the halving before the bull run really begins. And if you bought 1,000 at that time, it would have netted you 0.01564, so 1.5 million Satoshis, a little bit more. But $1,000 at that point is now worth $1,580.
So almost
a 50%
increase.
Almost 60. Yes.
Yeah. In what? That's been 6 months? 7 months?
It's over 7 months now.
Yeah. That's 50% increase over 7 months is not bad. I mean, and that's basically you're playing with, I don't want to say exactly a sure thing, but as close to a sure thing as you can get. When you look at meme coins and stuff like that, you'll see a lot more increases, but it's also very much like a rug pull type situation. You could totally lose your butt on it. So,
right.
Yeah. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah. I was going to say meme coins, they're something that it's like that, the chairs game where the music plays and then when the music stops, you better have a chair or you're going to be sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
It's kind of how those go.
Yeah. And then when we look at the ETF flows, they've been fairly positive, especially for this week right now. We've got 320 million, it looks like, on the 29th, 353 million on the December 2nd. December 3rd was 676 million. And then we still don't have all of today's totals yet. Like iBit still is not listed. So I'm kind of curious what iBit didn't do.
Grayscale is dumping right now at 94.3.
Yep. Yeah, they're the only one that they are right now. What the way the chart looks is that they're the only ones that they're pushing down the market by 14.9 million right now for today. Wow. But that doesn't mean anything. That could all be changed as soon as iBit posts what they've done tomorrow. So, yeah, exciting times, euphoria. I don't know what to tell you other than congratulations if you've been holding on for a long time.
Yes. And the only other thing I'm going to mention about this is we need to kind of pay attention to what the Bitcoin supply is looking like.
Yeah.
Especially if the euphoria kicks in, the FOMO, the fear of missing out, and then the market's drying up. We've been talking about this for years, but it really does seem like we might actually get to that supply shock.
Yeah. Yeah, I think last episode we talked about there was like something like 2 million sitting on exchanges currently. Now, and when we talked about that, we weren't sure if that included like coins in people's accounts or if that was just like coins that were available for purchase. And I think it's combined. Like I think that's coins available for purchase and coins sitting on in people's accounts on exchanges.
Right.
There was something you brought up the other day too, like the government was moving some Bitcoin around.
Yeah, I was looking at it yesterday and read it. The crypto were monitoring some of the government wallets, and they were moving some stuff around and paying some exorbitant fees. And nobody knows why. It was just people watching the wallets know, they have certain wallets tagged as U.S. government holdings. So
some
interesting.
Watchers.
Yeah. Hopefully not trying to sell it. Yes, that would be so stupid. They almost might do that as a middle finger to the next administration, but I hope they cautious heads or cool heads prevail. Though looking at what happened in Ukraine with some of those long range missiles and stuff like that, it doesn't seem that that's the case.
No, not at all. And then there was something that came from Jerome Powell today on the economy. Did you hear anything about that?
No.
Let's see if I can pull this up real quick. So it says here, Powell says strong U.S. economy is letting the Fed be cautious about cutting interest rates. U.S. economy is in good shape. There's no reason for that to not continue, Powell said at an event hosted by the New York Times. The good news is that we can afford to be a little more cautious about decisions on rate moves. I wonder why that would cause them to get excited.
Well, I think people are hoping for more rate cuts, and he's saying, hold your horses. Though, I think there's a lot of exuberance in the markets right now, just with a change in leadership, because it wasn't exactly a crypto-friendly administration. Well, it definitely wasn't, but I don't even think it was a business-friendly administration that we've just lived through. So there's a little bit of excitement, but I don't know how strong the economy really is. I don't believe that. We've talked about the numbers that we get from the employment, inflation. We just call all those numbers pretty much gaslighting. They're not really capturing what's happening. So I wonder if we're going to start getting real data here shortly.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it looks like, I guess, part of the reason why they were excited is it looks like there's another chance for a rate cut coming in this month of December. It looks like their current market analysts are saying they're looking at 76% chance that we'll get one more rate cut this year. Well, I don't know how much
last month.
Yeah. Yeah. In at the wire. And I'm watching this price. Looks like we're about to hit 102,000.
Good Lord Almighty.
Yeah. Hasn't quite done it yet. Like it's kissing me at 101,991, 101,945. Sorry, like there's places you can watch like the price right now, even on Twitter. I think they've got some live postings of it going on. So congratulations to those of you that have been, hardcore hodlers that have been in through bear markets, thick and thin. This really, 102,000, we just hit it. This is your time to shine. This is the reason why you've held out. You've done you've sacrificed basically to get where you wanted to get with Bitcoin. And this is where your rewards pay off.
Right.
So congratulations, hodlers. Is there anything else you wanted to add today?
No, I just need to wipe away my tears from joy.
Yeah. No, this is insane. This is awesome to watch. I'm glad that we were actually recording while this was happening. So, if you have decided to go down the road and you have decided to purchase some Bitcoin, which we recommend you do, but it's not financial advice. We don't know what we're talking about. But you can always get yourself a hardware wallet, and we do have the Ep141 and the Ledger listed on our website. It's not from our website. It's an affiliate link to the direct sellers. It helps out the podcast if you do happen to buy from there. So we do appreciate that if you decide to go that route and you want to attempt self-custody of your coins, Always just be careful out there. Like, I mean, you've got to watch out for scams and anything else. And really, honestly, I think self-custody is one of the best ways to go. But that's a lot of personal responsibility you're taking at that point.
Indeed. But don't leave the responsibility to the exchange that you bought it from, because many of them went down this last cycle. So don't be caught up with them.
Yeah. And that's one of the other things too, like when runs happen like this, and I know we're still talking about runs and stuff like that, but when runs happen like this, like you'll try and sell, you won't be able to because the exchanges will be down or whatever the case may be. So just keep that in mind whenever you get this kind of frothy moments. Expect it to kind of slow down. And honestly, I don't know. We could be looking at $105,000 Bitcoin tomorrow morning.
Totally possible.
Right now we're at 102,452.
Jeez.
So we're in those blast off zones right now.
Lift off.
So, thank you all for listening. And congratulations again for those that have kind of gone through this and actually have Bitcoin and they're reaping the benefits. And if you want to sign up for the newsletter, you can do that as well on our website.
Indeed.
So thank you all for listening.
Bye.